I am Jacqui Hodges, and if you're here in the Confident Beauty Collective, you know that I encourage you to love the skin that you're in. And I am just really excited to welcome my friend and guest, Sara Lowery, into our curious conversation this evening. And Sara and I'm not really sure how long we've known each other, Sara. Probably
It's
for
Emily Cuba's fault.
Yes. We met through my beauty business probably 4 years ago, I would say. And we've just grown a friendship since then and had lots of good conversations. And I've been in her home. And so I know that she is somebody that I have always trusted when I have had anything to share that felt like it needed to be with somebody that was a good listener. Like if I wanted to say anything that just seemed like this is kind of heavy or whatever, Sara was like a person, she's like, could take it and she knows like the thing to say back. I can remember a few conversations when I first met you. I was kind of in a transition of sorts in my spiritual and church life, and you were just a good listener and encouraging in that. And so thank you for that. I've never told you that, but
No, you haven't. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So let me tell you about Sara. She sent me some things about her and things I wasn't even really for sure on. But she has a bachelor's in music therapy. Now, Sara, I knew you were a musician. I mean, I knew you were talented in that area, but your undergrad's in music therapy. And she said that opened the door to community mental health as a family support specialist 7 years ago. So was it 7 years ago when you finished your bachelor's in music, or have you worked in that have you done that aspect of music therapy before now?
Sort of.
Okay.
I worked in activities at a nursing home
Oh,
after
okay.
graduation and after getting my certification. And I sort of used music therapy, but in activities, I was also doing things like calling bingo numbers, which
Yes.
I
Yeah.
despise. No offense to
Yeah.
anybody that likes bingo. I don't. And
Uh-huh.
so it was that pointed me toward finding a career where I could grow and learn more, where there wasn't
Mhm.
a ceiling. So, and that's
Okay.
where I landed in community mental health.
All right. All right. And um, there were a lot of things in your bio about the different things that you're certified in, and there were words and programs that I'm like, I don't even know what any of those things mean. So if you want to expound on that, you can. I'll tell you what I like when I read the notes. I'm like, I definitely want to say this. You're certified in suicide prevention instruction.
Mhm.
You're not a social worker or a therapist, but you're passionate about learning, teaching, and supporting others in their mental health journey. And I feel like because of the other things you are certified in, that has prepared you to be able to help us have this conversation tonight. So, what
Right.
are those other areas where you've had extra training outside of your bachelor's in music therapy?
So, yes, disclaimer, I am not a therapist. My kids try to be like, "Mom, quit therapizing me." I'm like, "I'm not. I'm not a therapist."
Right, right.
Um, and that the title of social worker is reserved for those that do have a degree in social work, especially those with a master's level. And I highly respect those that have completed that training. Um, what I am comfortable with teaching and knowing and get paid to teach, because apparently I know it well enough, is things like coping skills. There's
Yes.
so much work that can be done in addition to therapy to better equip kids and adults to handle life. So, coping skills for anxiety, anger management, communication skills, social skills,
Mm-hmm.
and some of that work is helping kids to learn, and even adults, to reframe their thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my other training has been through being a wraparound facilitator. It's a
Right. That was what,
40-hour.
when I was reading
Yeah.
that, I was like, I don't know what this is.
So that could be a 30-minute conversation in and of itself.
Okay.
The short answer is, um, I work with families where the kiddos are experiencing some pretty extreme emotional and behavior issues that jeopardize their safety in the community.
Okay.
So, working with the family and the kids to try and keep them at home so they do not have to be sent away to a residential facility to do their treatment and get better.
Okay.
That's the
All
short
right.
answer of what wraparound facilitation is. There's a lot more to it.
Well,
And
and
the
that's so interesting too to have understand that better because I know that there are women here in this group who, I mean, there's lots of mothers and grandmothers in this group. And
Mhm.
so to know that there are resources like that, maybe that we didn't know about before, that's great to
Right.
know about that.
Yep. And I am a question, persuade, refer suicide prevention trainer.
Okay.
So I just renewed that certification for training. It's a compare it to CPR,
Okay.
but to support lay people in preventing suicide,
Yeah.
empowering them to ask those questions and not be afraid of asking those questions, and then direct the person that is experiencing suicidal thoughts to the professionals, those master level social workers, to get the help and support that they need.
Yes, yes. And I know we're going to focus on reframing thoughts tonight. And really, we did a in this group, we did a 3-day self-care challenge about 6 weeks ago.
Mhm.
And that was caring for your mind, body, and spirit. And you might have even been in one of those. I don't remember if maybe
Maybe
you were
I'm bad about
maybe
this,
just
Jacqui.
you might have caught a clip of that or something. But we just really talked about that mental component of caring for your mind. And there is a difference. I know that there is a difference between self care for your mind and mental health concerns and issues that need more than just a little care for your mind. We know that
Correct.
there are lots of varying differences. And that's personal, and everybody's
Mhm.
what's going on with them is personal. But for the context of this conversation, um, I want to know kind of your best practices or how you would teach a woman who maybe isn't necessarily in a place where she needs medical help for mental health or
Mhm.
she needs a therapist, but she just needs to think thoughts that are more encouraging and empowering based on what is real in her current situation. Um,
Right. Um, and the thing that initiated this whole conversation in the first place was you sharing when Croy was leaving to go back to work, and just kind of that sudden moment, and that you started to reframe your thoughts. And one of the things that is so important to realize is just because you think a thought doesn't mean it's true.
yes. Yeah.
That our brains are so programmed to take the path of least resistance. And that path of least resistance is, think of it like paths worn in the woods. Our brains are
Yes.
sometimes used to taking those paths. So learning to test out the thought,
Mm.
especially if the thought's like starting to make you feel a little bad or worried or scared. Um,
Yes.
Not that those feelings aren't valid, because they are, and it's okay to feel the feeling. Um,
Right.
it's what you do with the feeling.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
does that
And
make sense?
so it does. It does
Okay.
make sense. And do you feel like, well, I feel like this for myself. I feel like for myself, I can let thoughts that are untrue come about and they can run away with me.
Hmm. I call
Or
those
I
thought
can
spirals.
thought spiral. Okay. I call that thought squirreling. So
Yeah.
it's kind of,
Mhm.
yeah. Um, and so how do you teach somebody, or how do you help someone recognize when the thought that they're having is not true or not serving them well?
You
So,
know, some of it's just starting to like run the questions through a filter. You know, is there evidence for my thought?
yes,
Um, and these are questions that work on shifting your brain over to your logic and your
yes.
reason. Um, so quick little brain lesson here. It's there. Um, your hand, I'm trying to get the camera right, makes a really
Okay.
great model for your brain.
Okay.
And this part right here is the part of your brain that does logic and reason and emotional regulation and all of that. However, when your fight, flight, or freeze, when those feelings of panic and worry start to thought spiral and that
Mhm.
gets activated in your brain, your logic and reason go offline.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
think about especially think of a kiddo in a tantrum
Mm.
and they're tired, they're hungry, they didn't get their way, and you've tried everything you know to calm that child down. You've
Yeah.
tried to logic with them, you've tried to reason with them to no avail because this part of their brain isn't working.
Mhm.
Another thing I compare it to is if you're running from a tiger, are you going to be able to do algebra?
Oh, right. No. I mean, I might not be able to do algebra even if I'm not running. No, I can do
Right.
algebra. Oh.
So starting to, calm yourself, ground
Mhm.
yourself, um,
Mhm.
and then beginning to test those thoughts. Is there evidence for it? Is there evidence against it?
Yeah.
Um, what would a friend think about this situation? That can allow you an opportunity to kind of put some more objectivity on it instead of being
Yeah.
subjective in the moment.
Yes. Yeah. I find that sometimes my self-talk about myself just gets ratcheted up and negative. Like I'm
Oh
just
yeah.
the whole not good enough, not a good enough mom. I dropped the ball on that or whatever the thing
Mhm.
is. And it used to be a lot worse, which is actually what really began my own mental figuring out what's happening with
Mhm.
some things in my mind. And it was a culmination of things. But um, what I have learned now is that if I can pause, especially when it's self talk about myself, not like a
Mhm.
situation happening or not like, if I can pause and say, is that true? Like, if I'm telling myself, like, you suck at being a mom, if I can stop long enough and like really like, what is this really? Is this true? Well, no, it's not true. Like
Mhm.
all the things that you define your to say, like, this is what in my mind determines if I'm great for my kids or not. If I'm the one picked for my kids, which we all know we are, but
For better or worse.
yes, yeah. But if I can get my headspace and my nervous system to get in sync enough to say, like, okay, I'm calm inside. Is what's true about this? What is really true about this?
Mhm.
And there's a situation that's caused me to feel that, but that doesn't mean overall like I'm failing, you know?
Right.
And
So just a couple things to speak into that is, first of all, are we tired or are we hungry?
yes,
Because
yes.
we're not going to, there's been many a times, and this has been a learning process for me too, personally and professionally, is recognizing tired and hungry
Mm-hmm,
as I'm not at my best. My thoughts can
mm-hmm.
spiral more easily. There's definitely been times where I've kind of turned into a worry ball, and my husband will lovingly say,
Go
maybe
to bed.
maybe it's time for bed, or have you drank
Yes.
water lately? Or
Yes. No, I
so
understand that
yeah,
completely.
taking care of those basic needs because that can be a contributor to negative thoughts. The
Yeah.
other thing is don't bully yourself. If
Yes.
you wouldn't say those things out loud to someone,
Mm-hmm.
especially someone you cared about, Why
Mm-hmm.
would you say them in your head to yourself? We speak to ourselves more than we speak to anybody else.
Yeah.
And so learning to be aware of what we're saying to ourselves and being kind. I mean,
Yeah.
we expect our kids and our families to speak kindly to one another. We need to expect that of ourselves, to speak kindly to ourselves.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
And
That's
if you're
good.
having trouble finding someone to speak kindly to you, reach out to someone that you trust and be like, tell me what I do right, because I'm struggling right now.
Yeah. That's a good, I mean, I think that's, I don't know if I've ever heard that before, but
Hmm.
as somebody that loves you or that you know is going to speak kindness to you,
Hmm.
like to encourage you in that.
Yeah. Yeah. Use your tribe. And if you don't have a tribe, build your tribe.
You have one here. If you're in the Confident Beauty
Hmm.
Collective, you're part of this space and I'm one of your people. Um, so something that I was thinking about is how do you, or I don't know what your thoughts are on this, or I'd love to hear them. So when you know that there are thoughts that are there that go way back, like maybe it's from your childhood, maybe it's from something that someone spoken to you that just wasn't true. Maybe it was something somebody said one time and it just stuck to you. I know I hear women say in my contact with them, and a lot of times I'll hear them say that at some point somebody made them feel like they were too much, or
Hmm.
it's either like not enough or too much,
Yeah.
or like their personality was too much, or they talk too much, or whatever. Do you think those things that are have been with you longer are harder to overcome?
They can, especially if they've stuck with you for so long, but those
Mm-hmm.
same thoughts can go through the same process.
Yes.
Was that
Yes.
comment somebody gave me 10 years ago, is that still true today?
Right. Right.
Do I value that person enough to care about their feedback?
Yes.
One that even my own kids, when they're like struggling with something that somebody said, I'm like, is it going to matter in a week? Is it going
Right.
to matter in a month? Will what
Yes.
this person said matter in 5 years? Do they have
Oh,
enough bearing on you and your life for it to matter?
oh, that's so good. That's a
So, yeah,
really, yeah.
knowing who your people are,
Hmm.
and okay, maybe if there's going to be some constructive criticism,
Hmm.
let it come from the people that know you, that you trust and
Yeah.
that you love, that
Yes.
want to see you be your best. If
Yes.
there's somebody just out to tear you down, or it was
Hmm.
20 years ago and they're
Hmm.
not in your life anymore,
Let it go.
let it go.
Yeah.
Um, I, I'm kind of sad that Frozen isn't quite the main thing that it is, because by golly, I sung "Let It Go" to so
Yes.
many kids.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
And that was at that time that it was a song that played over and over in your mind. And that was probably an easy reminder for those you were working with. Like, okay,
mhm,
here's what Sarah said. And it's this song over and over.
uh-huh.
um,
Right. And if you get to a point where you're not able to do it on your own and it is impacting or hindering your day-to-day life,
mhm,
that's when you go seek somebody out. Whether it's a therapist at the community mental health center or whomever, seek that professional support if those thoughts are hindering your ability to function in day-to-day life. That's when it's more than just self-care. That's when we're stepping into
yes.
mental health, and that you need those services and supports to
Yes.
walk with you for a time, to work through any past traumas that might be there. Um, those people are there, and they love to help, they love to guide, they love to see individuals overcome and succeed.
Yes. Yes. Do you feel like, I mean, I know we've heard a lot about this probably in the last 2 or 3 years, that there has been a stigma around getting help for your mental self. Like, do you feel like that's changing? Like, people are more open to, like, I need my physical doctor. I need someone professional to help me with my mental health.
Breaking down stigma is hard, and I am always optimistic. And another part of the work that I do, I'm the Systems of Care coordinator for Lawrence County, and one of the things that we are aware of that's a hindrance to people seeking help is stigma. And so, Mental Health Awareness Month, Stop the Stigma. We're looking at participating in Safe Night, which some of you guys from Orange, Lawrence County may be familiar with, but stigma can be a barrier. But I'm optimistic in thinking that the more people talk about it, the more people hear somebody else say, yeah, I've struggled with depression. I take a medication and it helps. That normalizes it.
Yes.
That makes it okay to talk about. It's our history and social norms that have made it this icky thing that, oh, we hush, we don't talk about so-and-so's mental health. No, we can. Just like somebody that's a diabetic. To some degree, there's some people that are very open and transparent with it. There's
because it's
others.
their story, it's their thing, and they get to say it. It's, like somebody else can talk to you about their mental health or their physical health or whatever. And so I think it's okay for somebody else to tell that part of their story if they want to tell that part of the story.
Yeah, of this is where I was, and this is how I've gotten to this better place. And kind of the comparison with diabetes is it's treatable.
Yes.
Mental health, it's treatable.
Yeah.
And that there shouldn't be any shame or blame in seeking out help for that.
Yeah.
It's expensive sometimes, which that's a whole other ball of wax to mess with.
Yeah.
But there's increasing awareness of the need for people to access mental health services above and beyond reframing our own thoughts or self-care or anything like that.
Yes.
It's okay to talk about it.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what I hope that just even in this curious conversation that, I have been pretty open about, not tonight, but in other conversations, just sharing some struggles that I've had at different seasons in my life, and some chemical, some physical, some mental, just all of that. And
then you throw in a side of hormones.
Yes. And also that's another whole conversation, especially because I know the women that I serve are typically women in their 40s to 60s, and we are experiencing major hormonal changes. Yes. And
roller coaster.
I know. And I'm just like in beginning. But I just know that it makes it affects what's going on in your headspace, and or it can. And I think that's something to be aware of as well.
And sometimes it's just stopping and being like, I'm a little extra hormonal today.
Yeah, acknowledging
it. Even last night, a conversation with my son. As I was talking with him, I was like, oh, dang, I'm super cranky. This is not appropriate to the situation.
Yes.
And I apologized and walked away from it.
Yeah. And it's, don't you think it's knowing yourself well enough to know, like, I'm a little cranky. Like, it's not like I'm just in a bad mood or something in me right now is really cranky.
Yeah. That this is above and beyond the normal. And, assessing, is this something that I'm good and I can cope with and I'll be fine in a couple hours or a couple days? Or again, is this above and beyond impairing my ability to function at home with my family or get out and do? And if it is impairing that, then seek help.
Yes. Yeah. So we have just a few minutes left, Sarah. Was there anything about thought reframing that you had in your notes that you're like, I really want to say this?
I think really remembering that just because you think a thought doesn't mean it's true.
Mhm.
Um, Something that my coworkers and I talk a lot about are thinking errors. And
Mm.
it can be anything. Actually, let me pull it up here real quick to look at. Oh, not that frame. This one. Um, Sometimes we get into all or nothing
Yes.
thinking. Um,
Yeah.
and I don't need a whole lot of explanation for that one.
No.
Um, over personalizing it,
Mm.
thinking that, oh, that person cares or judged or whatever.
Hmm.
No, it's the barista at
They're not
Starbucks.
even thinking about us.
They just want to
Yeah.
give you your coffee.
Yeah. Yeah. I think sometimes we put so much emphasis on what other people maybe are thinking about us, and they're not thinking about us. They're
Right.
not even, we're not
We
on
don't
their
matter that
radar.
much to them.
No, no, no.
And that question of will it matter in a week,
Yes.
especially if it's somebody that's not
Yes.
in our circle.
Yeah.
Overgeneralizing, um, minimizing problems.
Mm.
Have we all seen the meme of the guy sitting at the table, the dog, and everything's on fire? It says, "I'm fine. I'm fine."
Yes.
Being
Yes.
sure that we're not that if we aren't okay, that we are acknowledging it.
Yeah. As women, don't you think it's a thing that we do? We could be in the habit of doing like, I'm fine. It's fine. I'm good. Like, because we don't have somehow have been taught like it's not okay to say like when you're not fine, or the people around you are have their own things and you just don't want to share like this is my thing.
Mhm.
Like I don't, or I don't
Yeah.
know if I can, I don't know if I can say as women. I know in my life I have experienced that. Like I haven't wanted to share what is going on with me because it seems like there's so much other stuff going on that nobody needs my burden on that.
Right.
And I know that's not true.
And
Um,
I think it comes back to testing those thoughts.
yes. Yeah.
You know,
What has made me feel like there's no space for me here to
mhm,
share what I need to share.
what would my friends say to me if they knew
Yes.
I was struggling and I didn't say anything?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Sarah, you have a lot of wisdom. I'm glad that
Oh,
we visited tonight. Um, so, in regards to your mental self care, this is I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this
that's
question.
fine.
What's a way that you take care of yourself? Um, what are
So
some go tos when you know you're like, okay, I need a mental break, or
so one of the things that I try to be aware of, and it's actually a tool we use a lot with the families that we work with, is being aware of the people that make a difference in my life, the places where I feel like I make a difference or contribute, and high quality relaxation stuff. What are the things that I enjoy doing that fill my cup? And typically if my stress level's getting high and I pause to think and be like, "Whoa." And I think, "What haven't I done lately?" I can usually point out of, "Oh, I haven't spent time with my girlfriends lately," or, "I haven't talked to my mom
yeah,
lately," that, I need that human connection that isn't work related,
hmm
or somebody needing something from me.
yeah, yeah,
Um, or I haven't done something that helps me provide meaning or feel accomplished.
yeah,
And it could be as simple as I'm going to conquer that laundry basket.
uh huh, uh huh,
um, the high quality relaxation, those are usually our hobbies.
yes,
If I'm super stressed out, I haven't sat and read a book lately. I haven't crocheted lately.
mm-hmm.
Um, so just keeping those things in balance. And it's been a long time coming. It's not something I figured out overnight,
Right.
but learning to catch those thoughts and if I am starting to bully myself, of either going to somebody that I trust and be like, "Tell me what I'm doing right, because my
Mm.
brain isn't doing it right now."
Yeah, yeah, so good,
Yeah.
so good. Do you have any? I didn't prepare you for this, but and
I'm
you
good
don't
on the
have,
fly, it's okay.
you can think on that. Do you have any resources that might be helpful to any woman here. And it doesn't have to, it could be any kind of reading or podcast or anything like that that we could link in the comments for anybody that's like, this conversation's been for me and I want to know more just about this, or I want to know, I just want to go farther with this. Is there anything you can think of?
One thing that I can think of, and we can absolutely link, there's a workbook that you can buy off of
Okay.
Amazon.
Okay.
That there's a couple different ones. One's on coping with anxiety, and others coping with depression, and others kind of those thinking errors that I mentioned. And it's something that you can take yourself through. Um,
Okay.
would it be, and again, kind of that preface
Mm.
of if the things that you're experiencing are hindering your day-to-day life, seek out a professional, find your community mental health center. There's also check to see who you're in, like call your insurance provider and say, hey, who does psychiatry or mental health?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And get that support from there too. But yeah, there's a lot of really great workbooks available that you can buy and take yourself through.
Yes. Yeah. And sometimes I think that there are times when maybe we don't need somebody coming alongside us. It needs to be a personal journey,
Mhm.
something personal that we're diving into. And so it's figuring out the balance in that. And so,
Because 9 times out of 10, the therapist is going to give you homework to do anyway. So
right,
that
right.
you are doing on your own.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Well, Sara, thank you so much for your time and just being here with us. And you are part of this community already as you're in and out. And doesn't Sarah have beautiful skin? She's a long-term skincare user of mine. And so just want to appreciate you for that. And we just say thank you. And I will get the links from Sara and put those in the comments or in the description either tonight or tomorrow for those workbooks if anybody's interested. And thanks for watching tonight. Make sure if you've watched all the way through, leave me a comment and let us know that you were here. All right.